Ed Gorman and Joe Pisano, who you met in our last segment, they are the only two surviving World War II veterans of the 6 who traveled back with us to Normandy. Well, today, both were honored at the Brookdale Community College for their service. And I spoke with both Ed and Joe here in the RNN studios back in 2009. I'm very proud to now welcome D-Day veterans Ed Gorman and Joe Pisano, as well as the soul of that project 10 years ago, former RNN anchor Rollin Smith. Gentlemen, truly a pleasure to have you all with us.
Good to be here.
Great to be here. Great to see these two guys here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, nice to see you too, Ron.
You.
Still here.
10 years. Did it feel like 10 years?
It went so fast.
Well, it went fast, like you said.
Yeah, we'll get into it. A lot's happened, obviously, in 10 years, but I mean, so much of it from my end, and you too, was getting to see these guys go back in time in many ways, and there were many other veterans from all over the world that made that trip. But do you ever go back, not just to 10 years ago, but to 65 years ago, to those images?
You do.
Always
yeah, you do. You get the flashbacks.
You always think about it.
It's one of the hardest things.
Do they flash when it comes time for June 6th, or does it happen almost periodically any time of the year?
Rollin, I don't know how to properly say this, but I get it every night.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I get it lots of times. I always think about it.
Very frequently.
Something you never forget, you know.
And so.
You know, there was obviously times 10 years ago, guys, when we went there where it obviously brought a lot back, but you're glad you went back, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I was happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a big thing in our lives.
It is. It was a big change in my life, really. It really
Mine too.
was. It's,
Mine too.
It's opened so many doors for me, and I've met so many wonderful people, and so many people have been so kind and gracious, and we've met, you know, Joe and I and the other four of us. Unfortunately, they're not here, but there was a bond built not only with them but with you. That's you
right,
folks,
with
your family,
Rollin, right. We went to your
all of our
weddings and
technicians,
whatnot.
the cameramen, the audio men. You know, it was just such a wonderful experience and a melding of people getting together and becoming a family.
I wanted to ask you something, because we could go on about all the stories from the trip, but you have covered a lot, and people recognize Rollin from the network, from, if you live in New York, certainly from the marketplace, but you've been all around the world covering stories. But you said to me after the trip that this one not only held a special place in your heart, but it was one of your proudest moments in front of a camera.
Absolutely. Having covered, as you suggest, any number of different kinds and types of stories in so many places, but to be with you guys at that time and place, for me, was the most extraordinary story at that point that I had ever covered.
Is that right?
The emotion from each of you that you shared, you were okay. You let yourself be vulnerable to the camera, to me, to Richard, to all of us who went there. And you literally, we got a chance to feel an empathetic resonance deep within your being that then became ours. And I'll tell you something, Normandy, for me, was a place that's so different from the rest of France.
Yes.
I've been to France dozens and dozens of times, both on stories as well as vacation. And but when you go to Normandy, you're in a different country.
Yes.
That's right.
They love Americans.
They love
Absolutely.
Americans,
And
that's
I mean,
right.
the way they treated you guys
Not
was
like
you were
you hear.
returning heroes.
That's
You were behind your shield, you know, like the old Roman soldier when you came in there, and they loved you.
Yeah.
They did.
You know, for all the good times of it, there was, and I've talked to countless viewers who've seen this series, and we've played it more than a few times. They said that it opened up a dialogue with their grandfather or with their dad,
That's
or
right.
that you guys were from a generation that you kept it to yourselves when you came back home, and sometimes family didn't know. Maybe they saw Saving Private Ryan, and maybe they saw Tom Brokaw's beautiful book or read it, The Greatest Generation, but it did open up an opportunity to talk about what happened, how important it was, a chapter in American history, but also about some of the stuff that you guys kept to yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you know, I'm very active in the American Legion. I'm the service officer of my post. And at least 2 times a week, someone will come up to me and a relative of a World War II veteran who's seeking information, or will come up and say, gee, I wish my dad or my grandfather or my uncle or whoever was there would open up and talk about it, would tell us about it. It's hard. Some people just can't do it. And even for those of us who were privileged to be selected and had an opportunity to say some things, really, you know, we said those things that we felt that we could say or were comfortable saying. There's much we haven't said. We don't talk about that. But some people just can't talk about it.
Well, let's talk about some of the guys that were with us in Orange.
Yes.
And because I think part of why I think this is important is not just to remember the significance of D-Day and all the brave men who are no longer with us, who perished that day, but we've lost over time. It's a vanishing generation. Just in our trip, the guys that are no longer with us. Talk about this generation that is disappearing before our eyes.
That's right.
It's true.
That's right.
We're losing 1,500 to 1,700 a day, they say. And and I can believe it. You just pick up the obituary, read the paper, the obituary columns, you know. Someone made a statement, I think it
10 or
was
15
President
years,
Bush
there'll
and
be no more
President Clinton said that the average age of the men, or those that participated in the invasion was 21. The average age of the whole complement of military force was 21. I happened to be 20 when it happened. Not Joe, you might have been 21. So.
I was 20, I think.
Yeah.
When I went in. 20 when I went in.
And we were all
23 when
kids.
come
I was
out.
a staff sergeant in charge of a special type of operation, and Joe with his, the glider outfit, and people say, well, how'd you do it?
Don't know. We just did it, that's all. If the next guy was doing it, you're going to do it too. That's how.
You guys went over there as teenagers and you came back as men.
Yeah.
I mean, they put us
there's no
through
question.
certain things that you wouldn't think you'd be able to do, but you say, well, he's doing it, I'm going to do it too. And that's what you did. There's no backing down, you know. But I was in airborne. We were airborne all the way. That's how we figured, you know, we're not going to back down on anything. That's how we were.
But the one thing that struck me is as painful as it was, and I saw a lot of you guys when you went by the cemeteries, and I know you did,
Yeah.
Joe, and you saw guys from your unit that obviously didn't make it back from those beaches. Same thing, all the guys.
And what about the
That
unknowns?
when you right, and when they shaded in those names with the tracing paper,
Yeah.
And
you're still glad you were there. That it's one of
Oh,
the
yes.
chapters
Oh,
of your
yes.
life that you're
Yes.
most proud of.
yes,
Yes, absolutely.
sure are.
And I'm one of the very few, and I don't say this braggadociously, I say it humbly, that was reassigned, if you will, from the European theater of operations to the Pacific theater of operations. After D-Day and the breakthrough of the Battle of St. Lo, it was decided to pull us out and rotate us back to the United States. We thought we were coming back as cadre for another outfit, only to find out that no, we wound up down in Hawaii, and I was on board a ship in August of 1945,
And the war ended.
getting ready to go to Okinawa, or wherever they were going to send us in advance of the invasion of Japan. And thank the good Lord it ended, because, you know, we were now a seasoned unit, having experienced what we did in Normandy, and going through what we did, and realizing the potential that we were facing regarding losses. Believe me, you can call me scared, yellow, whatever, but I was glad it ended.
Anything
Well, I'm
you'd
glad
like
too.
to say to this, Roland? Because
Just that it was a magnificent experience, and as I started to say before, it was one of the more important ones in my repertorial career. The only thing that equals it in terms of coverage for me was when 9/11 happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
In many ways,
The country got patriotic again.
yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It-
they soon forgot again.
And, you know, that's what makes this country so great, is not only people like you and all of the colleagues that you hung out with and that you fought with and who you mourn today because they didn't get a chance to live the lives that you did and rebuild America. But, you know, those of us, my generation, Rich's generation, and in my grandchildren's generation, someday they'll honor you by the knowledge of knowing what you did, meaning your generation.
Thank you.
And I'd just say from my end that I've told people, if you're going to go somewhere, go to that bluff in Normandy.
Yes.
And if you want to understand sacrifice and understand the best of America, I think it's in those perfect symmetrical rows of crosses and stars of David from all across America, cities, farms, so whatever. And I'll never forget it, and I'll never forget that trip, and obviously your service as well. So, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Well, we thank you for having this.
We're happy
and
to have
God bless you
been
both.
there.
And God bless your families.
That's right.
When we come back, we will share with you the story of paratrooper William Drubeck. Bill was among the first to launch on the D-Day assault. His story when we return.